And you all, I used to get around back in the day, like, ooh, come on in the room, sit down, you all. By the name of this title, I think you all know what we're about to get into. So let's talk about it. Life with herpes. Yes, I have had genital type 2 herpes for over a decade now. So, how has it affected my sex life? In the very beginning, it did affect my sex life because I just felt undesirable. I felt like nobody was ever going to want me, and you know, I just felt like I now had this stain on me where nobody would want me. So I didn't really put myself out there. But then, like, there was this guy who just like was trying, like, just kept at it, like, was very adamant about getting at me. And so because I didn't really like him like that, I was like, you know what, let me test this out. Let me see how it goes. Because like, if he rejected me because of it, it would have been like, oh yes, finally he's leaving me alone. Like, it would have been that type of feeling. And I'm sorry if you see this, like, no hard feelings. No hard feelings if you see this. I apologize. I was a different person back then. So I told him, and like, he was like, okay, well, can you tell me more about it? Like, how does it work? Like, what's the ins and outs of this, and how can we be safe? And I was like, oh, you're still interested in me? Like, oh wow. So that was like a shocker, but like, I really legitimately did not like him like that. So, you know, I shared all the facts about it, but then I also let him know, like, you know, I don't think this would work between you and I, because I'm just not in the place for it. Like, you know, I let it off easy. But that was when things changed. It was like, okay, so somebody is interested. So it hasn't really affected my sex life since then. But now I have been abstaining from sex for the last 2 years. And if you haven't ever seen my channel before, then I do have 3 children, so it didn't stop anything. None of my babies contracted it. All is well there. So yeah, it didn't affect my sex life. It didn't change the way that most people saw me. So that brings us to the next question that people usually have. When is the best time to disclose? In my personal opinion, I think it is best to disclose it as early as possible when it comes to your dating aspect. I think before you actually get into a relationship with somebody, that you should disclose it to them, because then it gives them the option, and it also gives you the luxury of avoiding time being wasted. So I'm not saying on the very first date, just, unless that's what you want to do, because like, there have been times where I have told people on the very first date. There have been times when I have been sitting at the bar and I just like look to the strangers to the right of me and like, hey, you know what, I got such and such and such, you know, and go to a whole story. So really, it's up to you to gauge. But I will say it's best to do it before you actually get into a relationship, because you don't want it to come to a point where it feels as if like you're tricking the other person, or you didn't rope somebody in where they now really, really like you, but now they have to be faced with this hard choice of, okay, do I move forward with this relationship based on the person that I have grown to know and really like or love, or do I leave them be because this is something that's a little bit too much for me? So in my personal opinion, as soon as possible is best, especially before you get into the actual relationship. But I'm no expert on this. It's just something that you will know and will feel comfortable with doing. And if you're ever too scared to share with somebody, then that might be a strong sign that that person isn't for you anyway. How many people have I told? You all, I have told so many people, and now this. Like, I don't know what this video is going to do, or where it's going to go, or who it's going to see. So I don't know, but I do know God told me it's time for you to come out of hiding, and it's time for you to speak your truth and share you, all of you. And having herpes is a part of me. It does not have me, I have it. So the amount of people I have disclosed this to, sexually and non-sexually, maybe 60, 70, 80, somewhere in there. And I say that because like all of my past partners I've told, obviously, and you all, I used to get around back in the day, like, and I'm not saying that to glorify it at all. I'm saying it so that like you can get a full picture and a full visual. I am no way, shape, or form perfect, but I do have a past. And my past is not squeaky clean, but I'm hopeful and I'm grateful and thankful that God does not judge me for who I was. He judges me for who I am in the now. And even now, I will still make mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I'm not who I was. But you all, your girl was busy back in the day, and you know, it didn't stop anything at all. People were like, oh, okay, and like some people were like, I still don't want to use a condom. I say this to say, do not be, if you have genital herpes, do not be fearful of being alone or people not wanting you or desiring you. It truly doesn't change much. So yeah, I've told all of my previous partners, I have told strangers just because, I have told some of my friends, family members, I have told a whole church. Like I stood up and testified and gave a whole testimony to a whole church. We were a small church, but still it was a church. So I have shared with many people. I just have never shared on social media or, you know, somewhere where it can go where I have no control over. So that, it's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary, but it's me. It's me. I can't undo what has already happened. I can't change what I have. Only God can do that if He chooses to do so. But I gotta be truthful and I gotta be honest. And who's for me, it's for me, and who isn't, isn't. So that's how I look at it. Now, how has it changed my life? Oh my gosh, you all. In the beginning, I was very depressed, very self-conscious. And then I went through a period where I was like, well, Lord, nobody's going to want to buy the diseased cow if they can't try the milk first. So, you know, I had that thought of like, well, I have to have sex because they have to know what it's like if they're going to go the distance with me. And now I'm at the place, I know it's bad thinking, but that's how I thought. And now I'm at the place now where I know who I am, I know my worth, I know my value, and I know that, again, I have genital herpes. It does not have me. It's not the soul, it's not all of who I am. It doesn't encapsulate all of me. It's just a part of me. And so now I'm waiting until marriage. So if somebody wants to, you know, see what is in a cookie jar, it gotta be my God-ordained husband. So that's where I'm at now. Aside from like sex-wise, it has taught me to be appreciative and to see things through, because not everything is as bad as it seems. Not everything is for bad. It's not. What the devil means for bad and evil, God means it for good. And I know that God allowed me to have herpes for a reason. I have helped so many people, like personally, with being truthful and honest just by me being vulnerable and open and honest about what I have. I have heard countless times before in the past with previous partners that like, wow, like it made me respect you more that you shared this with me, or that you were so open with me, and it makes me feel as if you're not going to judge me, or like, you know, you're very open. I do think it has helped me be more open, be more transparent, be more proud to stand in my truth. So yeah, I would say it has changed me in all of the best ways, But it took me some time to get here. Again, in the past, I didn't have this thought, I didn't have this mindset regarding it, but that's how I feel today. And the Bible verse that it reminds me of is Paul, when he said that he asked for God to remove his affliction 3 times because it's a thorn in his side. That's how I feel about me having herpes. Like, I have prayed and prayed and prayed, and I tried all of the little remedies that you find on YouTube and Google and stuff about how to cure herpes, and like the Dr. Sebi diet and all this other stuff. Like, I have done it all, I have tried it all, I have read about it all, and I still have it. And that's what I feel like. I just feel like it's my thorn, but God gave it to me for a reason. So I don't really get outbreaks anymore unless I'm super duper stressed out, or like it's just a whole lot going on with my body where I'm not eating well, I'm not drinking well, I'm not sleeping well. All of me is unwell. That's usually when I have an outbreak, but usually I will go a year or 2 without one. Sometimes if I do get it in the year, it's just a one time. I had my babies vaginally, all 3 of them, and everybody came out fine, and I didn't have to do any of the medicine that they give you to kind of ensure that things go smoothly. I didn't have to do that. I haven't taken medicine. I took medicine very early on. I want to say maybe like the first few months of me having it, and then I stopped because I'm just really bad with pills. Like, trying to be consistent with pills is not for me. That's the same reason why I'm not on birth control and haven't been on birth control, because trying to stay consistent with pill taking is so hard for me. So I can't speak about effects of that or what that's like, because I don't have that experience. But yeah, hardly ever have outbreaks, and most days I kind of forget that I have it. Not that like I'm like, oh my gosh, I have herpes, I forgot all about this. It's not like that, but it's just something that doesn't come to my mind. Like, it's not a thought hardly ever. And I only really thought about it now and today is because, again, it's my anniversary of having it, and then I felt a pulling by God that the time was now to come out and share my story, because it's meant to help somebody. Herpes, they say 1 in 4. According to the CDC, 1 in 6 Americans have genital herpes. I am a part of this statistic. I am someone who now advocates for safe sex, and even beyond safe sex, just get tested. And with testing, make sure that you do the full panel, because when you do the urinalysis, that doesn't scan for herpes. And I think that's a huge misconception that a lot of people have, is that they'll go get tested. It's not that they're not getting tested, but they're not getting the full panel. They're not getting their blood drawn. So because of that, some things are slipping through the cracks. And a lot of times they don't do the full panel because it's more expensive, and it's common. Like, again, 1 out of 4. And I don't say that is reason or excuse to not get it, but I think that is also part of the reason why it's not a part of 5. I think it's 5. They test for 5. I think that's a part of why it's not a part of that testing, is because it's so common out here. They said eventually more people will have herpes than people who do not have it, which is kind of scary. So please, if you're out there, even if you're in a committed relationship, not everybody is faithful, unfortunately. So I would just say, make sure that you pay attention to your sexual health, pay attention to your body. Sometimes people do not have symptoms. I was one of the lucky few who had a reaction right away, but not everybody has that. So just make sure that you're paying attention to your body, that you're getting tested, do the full panel. And just, if you do have herpes, do not be afraid to be open and disclose that. I think it's wrong. I'm not here judging you. I will never judge anybody. But I do think it's wrong if you purposely have sex with somebody who does not know that you have herpes, especially if you know you have it. I just think, you're setting yourself up for some possibilities that you may not like or want to handle or deal with. So yeah, that's just my advice to people who do have herpes. Is just be honest, share it. If somebody says no, then they just say no. But there's so many people in the world. There's somebody out here who's going to say yes, who's going to love you, herpes and all. So that is just my encouragement to you. Also, please know that you deserve the best that life has to offer. Just because you have herpes, or if you even have HIV or AIDS, that is not the end of the world for you. You are still valuable. You are still important. You still deserve to be loved and are loved. And you're beautiful. So you all, I don't want to make this too lengthy, but if it is too lengthy, then I will make this a part 2. So how did I get it? Well, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so very much for watching this video. I hope that you have learned something. I hope that you have walked away feeling like, you know what, it gets better. This is not the worst thing that could have happened to my life, and that there is still good in the world for me. You all, as always, continue to prosper properly as his property. Prospering property.